All right, so just defensive backs, I believe defensive backs, we are the last line of defense for the defense. So as good as we play in the secondary is the good as that the team is going to be on defense. So if the defensive line, if they make a bad play, the linebackers in the secondary, they can make up for that. If the linebackers don't make a play or make a bad play, the defensive backs in the secondary can make up for that. But if the defensive backs make a mistake, it's a touchdown. So I think we're the most important aspect to the team, just for the fact of making not letting big plays happen. Okay. The first thing we're going to talk about is how to play man to man. So press man. Okay. Press man, and we're going to go from number one. Always use, you guys have high school, like you use kind of our college fields. So don't worry about that. But key number two, always key the middle of the receiver's chest or the upper part of the receiver's numbers. So I would say right about here. Some coaches teach to look at the belly button. I don't do that because that means you got to put your head down. So right there. Secondly, your stance. Make sure it's very comfortable. We're not flat back, but we're athletic. All right. So that means, and most of your weight is going to be on the balls of your feet. So you'll be able to move. You don't want the weight on the heels of your feet because that'll get you off balance. Okay. Thirdly, when you go out there to play defensive back, be it a safety or corner, you got to have a plan of attack for that down. So each defense that's called, you have to know your rules. You have to know what you have to do inside of each defense. And you have to know how you're going to execute that defense. All right. For press man, be it a safety or a corner, it's all the same. All right. The receivers only have 3 releases. They have a tight release, so most receivers like to get into you and hand fight you, or they got a wide release where they like to swim and get a little bit farther away, or they got a speed release, which is number C, which you're not going to touch them if they don't want you to. Okay, because they're trying to get up the field, and probably more than likely when they do that, they're running a go route. All right. So the key for all cornerbacks, let's start cornerbacks, for all cornerbacks to do is you have to be patient at the line of scrimmage. And I'm going to have some film for you when you get done talking so you can see it. But we do a thing called a patient step. All right. So we are inside shade, and our outside foot is a speed foot. And then we have a 6-inch step to kind of make us stay there while the receiver's dancing. All right. Or the receiver's moving. Okay. But the key to playing corner is making sure you're patient at the line of scrimmage. All right. Patient at the line of scrimmage. All right. I really talked about having your shades already. Don't worry about the hash split rules because that's more for the pros than even college and high school. All right. Now, the key to all of it is that once the receiver makes his release, all right, once he makes his release, then you have to cut him off. You have to punch with the opposite hand. So if he releases either the A release or the B release, you can punch with the opposite hand, right? You try to stay as square as you can, as long as you can. But then once you got to get out of it, you got to go at a 45-degree angle to cut him off So you're always on the upfield shoulder. The upfield shoulder is always the shoulder closest to the sideline. Okay, so if this is the sideline, if this is the sideline where my left hand is at, this would be my upfield shoulder for the DB. And then as a DB, I need to play closer to up here so I can take away the deep threats, right? So you don't give any no goes, no posts, no seams. That's like critical for corners. They never get beat deep. They play top down, right? They play top down. You never get beat deep. So if you stay up here, the thing that you can get beat with is probably a back shoulder throw. All right. That happens in high school. That happens in college. But always take away the deep ball. Always take away the deep ball. So I talked about punching with the opposite hand of the release. Now, if it's a tight release, you might get both your hands on him. Well, we say 2 hands to 1 hand to none. That means if it's a tight release, you get your hands on him, you can stay square. Then once he releases for his route, now you get your 1-hand punch. And if your rules are college rules, is that what it is? Yes, Sebastian? Yes. Then you can touch him all the way down the field until the ball is thrown. Okay? As long as you don't hold him. You can't grab his jersey, you can't pull him back, but you can use your rules that you have to your advantage, right? So you can hit him more than once. As long as you are upfield shoulder, you're in a great position. You can hit him, because you're trying to get the offensive player off his timing, right? Because the offense lives in time, right? The offense lives in time. The defense, we don't live in time. We live to disrupt the quarterback and receiver timing. That's what we're here for. That's why you play football. All right. And then you see number 7 where it says have a good 45-degree angle. And that's what I was talking about. Okay. Have a good 45-degree angle once the receiver releases. And now you stay on the upfield shoulder. All right. Now, I put down here on number 8, do not lunge at the receiver. That if you're quick jamming the receiver because you're just giving him different looks, that is okay. All right. And you might have to go after the receiver a little bit. That's okay. You can't do it every single play. All right. You just can't do it every single play. All right. So I know I put it on here, but I put it on here for my defensive backs who didn't listen. That's why it's here, because I didn't want them to get beat and I get yelled at. All right. Do not cross your feet early. That's a key. All right. Playing good cornerback or safety play if the safety's coming down, even covering a tight end from a press alignment or covering a number 2 receiver. You can't cross your feet over too early, because if you do, you're at the mercy of the receiver or the tight end who you're covering. Okay. So try to stay as square as long as you can. All right. Now, I talked about this patience step, the 6 sense patience step. Okay. That is only when corners line up on the inside shade. So if you get a receiver that has a reduced split and now the corner is lined up on the outside shade, you do not need to do the little 6-inch step, which I will show you in a little bit, some film on what the 6-inch step looks like and why you do it. Okay. So everything I'm talking about, we will have a little film to help you kind of understand what I'm talking about. All right. All right, so we got, that's the crack split. So the crack split, I'm telling you, when you're in a crack split, you don't have to do the 6-inch patience step. Now, if you have a player who is very patient at the line on his own, then he does not need to do the 6-inch step. This is for most defensive backs who are very impatient at the line of scrimmage because they're nervous to get beat. Okay, getting beat deep. But if you have a guy like a Darrelle Revis, who's probably the best patient corner I've ever seen at the line of scrimmage playing press, then you don't have to worry about the 6-inch step. All right. Now, jamming the outside hand, we already talked about that. All right. Now, the number 13, I think this is critical for defensive backs because we kind of line up and do one thing over and 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 over, and the receivers get to do multiple things. So what I'm telling you guys as defensive backs, be it safeties and corners, to develop different techniques, all right, so you can control the receiver, so you can make the receiver think about what you're doing, and then you're not always thinking about what he's doing. Sometimes you quick jamming, right? Sometimes you play in an inside shade. Sometimes you play on an outside shade. Sometimes you pressing. Sometimes you press and you bail, right? And if you guys are playing a cover 2, right, where you got 2 deep safeties and the corners rolled up and playing cloud force, you can now act like you're playing outside shade, act like you're going to bail, and then you can stop at 3 yards and then jamming. So just more things that you can think of to make the receiver think, to make him slow down. It helps you as a defensive back, be it a corner or safety playing press. Okay. Now, I told you the key of being patient at the line of scrimmage is the key to winning the down, but it's not everything. So if you don't win at the line of scrimmage, there's 3 other places you can win. Okay. You can win on the receiver's route. All right. So once he releases, you don't beat him at the line. You can win on his route. So that means you can get back up, catch up to him. All right, and try to get back to his upfield shoulder. You can win at the break point, so where the route is broken at. So it's either going to be a 3 to 5 step, a 10-yard to a 12-yard, right, or a 15 to 18-yard route. That's where all routes are ran in all American football. Okay, if they're not doing that, they are running a go route, right? They're running a go. And the first thing I said to you as a defensive back, you cannot get beat. You can't no goes, no seams, no post, period. That's like golden rule 101. You can't get beat deep because you know why? Most quarterbacks in all leagues, be it youth football, be it high school football, be it college football, and even pro football, all of them can't play 15 straight or have 15 straight plays where they don't make a mistake, or 10 straight plays. If you make them take a 5-yard route, a 12-yard route, a 10-yard route, they're going to have a bad throw somewhere in there. And that's your opportunity to get a turnover. All right. So teach your guys, no matter what is going on, don't give up the deep ball. Do not give up the deep ball. I mean, that's like written on my board anywhere I coach. No seams, no posts, no goes. All right. In practice, we are what we repeatedly do. All right. So if you get beat in practice every day on a deep ball, you're going to get beat in the game with the deep ball. Okay. So no deep balls. That's 101. No deep balls. All right. So now I said, you can win at the line of scrimmage. You can win on the climb. That's the route. All right. You can win back there. You can get back to that point. Right. If you don't win there, you can win at the break point, which is those, remember I told you the 3 break points, which is 3 to 5 yards, which are slants. Right. Then there's 10 to 12 yards, which are normally curls and outs. And then 15 to 18, which is kind of a deep dig or a deep comeback, right? So you can win at those break points. And if you don't win even there, what I tell my guys all the time, never panic. Never panic. because you have all these opportunities to win, right? The last part where you can win where the ball is thrown, all right, at the point of attack. That's where the ball is going to be caught. And we know all rules of American football across the globe is that they have to control the ball all the way to the ground and through the ground, right? That's what we know. So you fight. That's your last chance. If you don't win those first three, your last chance is to put your hand in there and rip at the ball, punch at the ball while he's trying to catch it, while he's coming down to the ground. And if you get it out, it's no catch. You didn't do the first three right, but you got that last one right, because that's the most important one, right? Not letting him catch the football. So remember, this is press man. Press man. The golden rules are giving up no what? We're not giving up no goals, no seams, no posts, right? Key to everything is being patient at the line of scrimmage, trying to stay square as long as possible. All right. And if you don't do that, if you don't win at the line, you still have three other places where we can win, right? We got the climb, which is the route. We got the break point, and then we got the point of attack, which is where the ball is thrown. All right. So tell your guys, if they get beat at the line and their back is to the ball, don't panic. Don't panic. You got three more places to win. All right. We got three more places to win. And as long as you win in one of those areas, you good. All right. And what I would tell you coaches is allow defensive backs to fail. Don't be so hard on them where they're scared to even make a play right for you, because they know if they get beat, they're going to be, cursed out or yelled at or whatever it might be. So allow them to fail. Now, for the players, you just can't be a repeat offender. So if the coach told you not to do something and you did it, and then you did it again, and then you did it again, and then you did it again, well, we got some issues, right? So now, more likely, the player's going to be holding a clipboard next to you, coach. So that's the way sports works. Not just football, all sports work like that. All right. All right. So this is press man. Does anybody have any questions about what we just talked about? Just remember this, there is no stupid questions.
Est-ce que quelqu'un a une question particulière par rapport à ça, par rapport à la technique du man press? Est-ce que tout le monde a tout compris ou est-ce qu'il faut revenir sur quelque chose? Moi, c'est bon.
C'est clair.
Ouais, tout est bon. All is good.
All good, okay. All good. All right, so now we're going to go to, can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Plant and drive. Okay, plant and drive. Now, this is for when you're playing off coverage. All right, be it man, be it zone. It's all played the same, right? Now, you do have different eyes in man, and you do have different eyes in zone, right? We have our man eyes, which you got your cat, you need to find your cat, right? And you have zone eyes, and your zone eyes, you need to see more, all right? And I'll show you a little diagram inside of here about different zones in a second, all right? So you'll see that. All right, now when you're playing off, the biggest thing, if you're playing the left corner and you're playing off, you need to have your left foot, your outside foot up and your inside foot back, okay? If you're playing the right corner, you need to have it the right foot up and your left foot back, all right? Now, if you're a safety, let's say you're playing cover 2 and you're in a left safety, now you're going to be opposite of that, if that makes sense. you're going to have your right foot up and your left foot back, and you're doing that because now you want to get open. You want your hips to get open so you can get to half the field. Okay. Again, if you're the right corner, you're going to have your left foot up and your right foot back here if you're playing cover 2. So you can open back up and get to your half the field. All right. Now, the biggest thing is always be under control when you're backpedaling. All right. You want to try to be parallel in a sense, because if you're a corner playing off, if you backpedal 6 steps, you're going to be about 13 yards deep. Right. So if you start at 7-ish, 8, which I tell all high schoolers to be around there, 7, 8, especially when you're playing man and zones, because you can play it from there. Right. Pros, we tell them, hey, I need you about 8.5, because they're a little bit faster in the pros. But high school, college, I tell them about 7 yards, you're good. You can backpedal from that. And what you want to do when you're backpedal, all right, and when you backpedal, you don't want to pick your feet up. You want to, what we call cut the grass. So when you backpedal, your feet are kind of like just scooching back, and they're always kind of touching the ground, right? Because the worst thing you want to do as an athlete, especially playing a person in coverage, is to have both your feet off the ground at one time, right? You can't move, right? So you always want your feet touching the ground. I don't like seeing defensive backs going like this, like they're running backwards, because you're not running backwards, you're backpedaling. And so it's kind of like you're picking up your feet, yes. And I'll show you some of that again in the film that I got for you guys, okay? And it kind of makes sense when it all comes together, when you get to see it on film. I know for me, I'm a visual person. So my coach talking to me, I didn't understand him until he showed me. All right. Some people can hear me and understand what I'm saying, and that is great. Most athletes cannot. And I was one of the athletes that could not do it. I had to see it. Coach had to draw it for me. Yeah, I got it. Okay. Make sure. Hey guys, can you mute yourselves if you're going to be talking a little bit, or you got the chat room that you can chat with each other. But okay, so you want to have slightly bent knees, or your hips down, shoulders slightly forward, and you'll see it in the video that I'm going to show you. Okay, slightly forward. Now, when plant and drive is all about your break point, right? Getting out of your breaks, change of directions. Defensive backs don't have to be real fast. Okay, that's a misnomer. I have a study, and I got the top 3 players from the last 5 drafts in the National Football League, and I included some older guys, and they average speed, they ran about 4.6, 4.55, but their short shuttle, their 3-cone, right, and their broad jump was tremendous. That's what you want. You want change of direction for defensive backs. You don't have to be real fast. That's a lie. It helps, right? It helps. That God-given talent helps you, but you don't have to be. All right. So make sure that you have all that. All right. And then when you plant your feet, so look, plant your foot should be the opposite of the drive direction. All right. So if I'm going to the right, I'm planting my left foot. And then as I'm planting my left foot, my right hip is going toward my target. All right. And it's not a real big step. But you're moving it towards your target so you can get closer to really close that space, because receivers are going to create separation on their breaks. It's just natural, right? Unless you just run the route for them. All right. So you want to do that. What you don't want to do is plant with your left foot, and I'll show you again on video. Plant with your left foot, and then bring your right foot and your left foot are standing right beside each other. you're not going anywhere, right? You always want to be moving toward the target. And who's your target? Who you're covering? Be it a receiver, be it a running back, be it a tight end, whoever you're covering is your target. So you always want to be moving towards your target, all right? All right. So you want to set your feet, drive quickly, explosion, I already said that. Keep your feet close to the ground, I already said that. Close to the receiver, which I told you, which is very, very important. Change of direction, which is the most important thing because you want to close that gap, right? You want to close that gap. But when you do close the gap, you always want to make sure you go to the upfield shoulder of the receiver so you can always play through the double move. All right. If you go for the interception and he runs a double move on you because you just ran the route for him, you're beat. If you go to the upfield shoulder and then he runs a double move, he has to run through you. Now you might get penalized, but you rather move the sticks than give up 6. You remember that saying? You'd rather move the sticks than give up 6. I mean, if my guy's beat and he needs to hold somebody because he just had a bad play, then I'd rather him do that than give up a touchdown, right? We'll live for another day. And he know what he did wrong, all right? So make sure you do that, all right? Now, transition. Feeling the cushion getting broken down when you're playing off man or zone, all right? And here's a rule of thumb for all you coaches, rule of thumb, and for all you athletes. If you're backpedaling and the guy gets in 1 arm length of where you're at, you should be turning to open up, all right? Because he broke your cushion down, all right? He broke your cushion down. Now, when you play in the middle of the field, you want to stay on top of the receiver as long as possible. And all you coaches should know, receivers are always trying to break defensive backs' cushions, right? That's what they're trying to make defensive backs uncomfortable. They're trying to get them to turn their hips. And if they can do that, they win the down. All right? So we're trying to feel that cushion, keep the cushion, and then once that rule of thumb, once a receiver gets the arm length away, if he get past that 15-yard mark, you got to turn and open up because he's running a go route. All right? He's running a go route. All right? So we got that. We talk about the feeling where the receiver's at and when he should open up. All right? And if he's a faster receiver, if he's way faster than you, then you might want to open up a little bit sooner than that. All right? You just have to know who you are, and you have to know what the player across from you can do. All right? At all levels, you have to just know that, okay? All right, always keep your shoulder balanced. We already talked about that. And then a key to double moves, all right, is always snapping your head around first. I see a lot of people throw the arm back, but his head is still here. So if his head is still here, his body's not turning without his head. You know, not unless I've never seen that before. Maybe he can. I mean, he has to be really flexible to do that. I've never seen a guy that have a neck that flexible before. So I've seen guys throw the arm back. I really like to see them do both, right? I like to see them flip the head because the first thing you got to do is find where. You got to find the receiver, right? You have to find the receiver if he double moves you or if he gets by you. You have to find the receiver first. A lot of guys still look for the ball, and I always tell them they're not throwing the ball to you. They're throwing the ball to the receiver. So if you find the receiver, you will find the ball. Now, every now and then, they make bad throws, and the ball is short, or the ball gets thrown a little wacky. Maybe he's getting hit while he's getting thrown, whatever. But get your head around. So if you're gonna teach them to flip that arm around, the shoulder around, that's okay. But tell them to take the head with it so they can get rolling again. They can get running. I've never seen anybody run fast with their head like this and them running this way. You guys see that in track? You never see that in track and field where the guy's turning sideways. He's looking this way, running that way, but he's running as fast as he can. All right, it's the same thing in football, okay? All right, I'm not gonna go over block protections and what you gotta do with that. You guys can look through that, okay? You guys can look through that. Now, zone coverage. Somebody got the music going. So if you guys can just mute yourself. Thank you. No, not yet. There we go. All right, zone coverages. All right, zone's different than man because man, you're gonna look at your guy, right? Zone, all right, the same responsibilities, the same thought process that the pre-snap has to be there for you, right? Determine prior to the snap your coverage responsibilities, be aware of your personnel, your formations, your threats.
لا تسلم حيدي.
And look at the area of your responsibility, all right? Approach a line of scrimmage with a plan of action. So if it's covered 3 and you're 3 deep, all right, you're 4 underneath and you're bringing 4, you're rushing 4, then you know if you're the outside corner, all right, that I got to stay deep as in my zone. My outside 1/3, I got to stay deep as in my outside 1/3. If I'm the middle safety, the same thing. Right corner, the same thing. Now, if I'm rolling down, I'm not down safety, he's normally going to be a curl flat player. Sometimes what we call 3 buzz, he will insert himself to be the strong hook instead of the curl flat player. But if he's the curl flat player, he's going to stay in the curl until somebody takes him to the flat. All right. And you can do that with depth. You can do that by down and distance. Sometimes early in downs, 1st and 10, 2nd and 10, you can have him stay a little bit higher. But if it's 3rd and 2, he has to get down because he's a part of the run front. Okay. He's a part of the run front. All right. Then number 3. All right. True zone 3D. So we were talking about that. Your divider, you're dividing points. You're always responsible for the deepest receiver that's in your zone. All right. If you have 2 receivers in your zone, you always the deepest of the deepest. Make them throw the ball short, and then everybody on the defense rallies to that ball carrier, that receiver who caught the ball, and make that tackle. But you never want to give up the deep ball. All right. Never want to give up the deep ball. And remember this, we said in zone, you have zone eyes, and that's what number 5 is. Your vision is through the receiver to the quarterback. The more you can see in zone, the better player you can be. All right. Now, the less you can see in man, the better you can cover your guy. All right. They're kind of opposite of each other. They're opposite of each other because in man, you want to see, make sure you cover your guy because I got that cat. I got number 81. I'm going to take 81 all over the place. All right. If I'm in a zone, I don't have 81. I got 1/3 of the field. That's what I cover. And that's my job. And it's the same job that we talked about at the very beginning. No seams, no post, no goes. Right? No seams, no post, no goes. All right. All right, we just talked about that. Now, the key to playing great defense, is that everybody reacts together. All right. So what we call 1099 or 999, excuse me, 999 is that we all drop back to our spots. Curl flat player, strong hook player, weak hook player. All right. And then you got your corners are outside 1/3, your middle safety is middle 1/3. And then as the quarterback looks, now you go to the outermost, to the innermost, and then you go back. You're all on a string. You're all playing together. And if you all play together, there's not that many holes in the defense. And now your defensive line has to get to the quarterback. Okay? Because most quarterbacks are very impatient. They don't like being in the pocket. They get uncomfortable because they're taught after 1001, 1002, 1003, they know somebody's coming somewhere. Somebody might be hitting them somewhere. So they get uncomfortable. All right. So that's predicated on the defensive line getting there. Once you make the quarterback go from his first read to a second read. All right. Now, communication is always the key pre-snap in man or zone. All right. That's number 9. It's critical that you pre-communicate before the snap, but also communicate after the snap. Okay. We always talk about pre-communication, but we never talk about post-snap communication. It's still critical. The great defenses talk either verbally talking to each other, which you want to do. And if you play in an away game and it's loud, you need hand signals where you can talk to each other, which means the same thing as your verbal communication. Okay. And that helps you. It's very critical that you communicate pre-snap in man or zones, irrelevant. All right. And post-snap. All right. The one thing that we always talk about is that tips and overthrows. We always said in Oakland, tips and overthrows, got to get those. So the coach would be up front. He would say tip and overthrows. Everybody in the defense has to say, got to get those. Because we're telling them how important that is. Because when you get tips and overthrows, those are the defense's opportunity to make plays, either score on defense or give the offense a short field to score, which is a lot easier. Okay? So tips and overthrows, got to get those. If your big sexies, your big defensive linemen get up, bat the ball in the air, linebacker comes and get it for interception, that's what you're looking for. Or a defensive back, all right? Or a linebacker tipping it and a defensive back getting it. Or a defensive back tipping and another defensive back getting it. Tips and overthrows, got to get those, all right? Now, for me, the really good players, all right, who really believe in their skill set, always plays the ball, all right? So, because remember, when the ball's in the air, it's both the receivers and the DBs. Anybody can get it, even though he threw it to the receiver, yes. But if I'm in position, I have the same opportunity to catch the ball just like the receiver does. So go to that receiving mindset, all right? And a lot of defensive backs do play receiver at times somewhere in their lives, all right? So just make sure when the ball's in the air, you're thinking it's your ball. It's your ball. I'm going to the reception point to get the interception because he threw the ball to me. He didn't throw the ball to receiver. He made a mistake if he thinks he's going to catch the ball on me, all right? So mindset, all right, the mindset. Now, if a receiver makes the catch, got to make the tackle, all right? Got to make the tackle. And then the last thing here, have zone eyes, see the big picture, all right? See the big picture, all right? I'm not going to go through all these, but you kind of can go through here and look at like clue, tempo, turn and go is what we call it. You can call it whatever you want to because you want to make sure that the kids, if they're playing at 7 yards off, they're not flying out of their back pedal. All right. They're not flying out of their back pedal. They're kind of like, it's like a fast walk, slow back pedal to a tempo. And then, by then it's going to be about six back pedals already. By then you're going to have to turn and go. All right, so that's what that is. You can call it whatever you want to. We used to call it 3-10-30 when I played. All right, and then I made up the word clue, tempo, turn and go because 3-10-30 just sounded old like me. All right, so I just wanted to give the kids something new. So you can make it up whatever you want to. Whatever you want to call it, you can call it. All right, But that's where, and you guys kind of see clues for the 3-step, tempo pedal is for that little 5-step, or excuse me, the 10 to 12 yard little route. And turn and go means, hey, they're going deep, or they're going deeper, the 15 to 18, all right? So you guys kind of look through that. You guys have any questions about kind of off-man principle? All right, because if man and zone is kind of together, right? But you have eyes for your man, in man-to-man, and zone, you see the big picture. Are you guys good with that? Any questions?
Yes, everything is clear, coach.
Okay. You guys know more questions. I hear you. All right, let's go. Let's see. Now what we got. I have tackling, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put it up here so you guys can see it. And if they're recording it, you guys can kind of go over it. This tackling is really our rugby tackling. That's what we teach. That's what I teach. I wasn't brought up that way, but when I was with the Raiders coaching staff, we did the rugby tackle, and it really keeps the head away from the ball carrier. And so, just, look through this. But if you don't want to, if this doesn't make a lot of sense, go to this rugby tackles, go to Seattle Seahawks, who really started it first in the National Football League. Go see a lot of their tape, and they have a lot of tape on the rugby tackles, a lot of drills on YouTube. If you can go to YouTube, okay? And then it kind of breaks it down of some different drills you can do for your guys. But it really keeps the head away from the ball carrier, and that's what we really want in our tackle football anymore, right? Because my old way, I was taught to have my head across to the ball side, and that's where we always had head-to-head contact. So I just think the new way from here moving out or moving forward, just look at the rugby tackle, okay, guys? So I'm just gonna put you through that so you guys can see it, all right?
So sorry, coach. I have one little question.
Yeah.
You told us your way of tackling, your old way of tackling, it's put your head the place where the ball is. Yes.
Yes. So if I'm.
And this is a mistake.
Yes.
So okay.
And the reason is, if the ball carrier, here's the ball carrier right here. If the ball carrier is coming this way, coming toward me, and I'm the tackler, right? I'm the tackler. If the ball carrier comes and he ducks his head, and I duck my head, and I'm across the ball, we're hitting each other. But if you rugby tackle, you're here, and now you're shoulder tackling, which is a shoulder punch. Now my head is behind the ball carrier, and I'm hitting with this part of my shoulder tackling. The ball carrier or the receiver is over here, right? And now my head is away from him. There's no more head-to-head contact in that scenario. There's always going to be instances where you're coming right at each other, and it's kind of hard to get away from each other, and it's a bang-bang play. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you have time and you can get to that shoulder punch. That's what I'm talking about, okay?
So it's like getting the tackle more cleaner and safer. Okay.
Yes. Now there's a if you guys go to, and I should have had it written down, but Way to Play Initiative, which is the NFL Way to Play Initiative. They have a YouTube channel called I think it's just YouTube football. I think that's what it is. And then you can go to that, and they have different tapes that you guys can look at, along with looking at the stuff from the Seattle Seahawks, because they do it really well. And even USA Football, even USA Football has some footage of how they're teaching it nowadays. All right. And that's a good way to learn a tackle. All right. So we're good with that. Any other questions? No? Okay, I'm gonna stop the share real quick. And then I'm gonna go to my video. And this is this video is from the San Diego Chargers, which is now the LA Chargers, right? All right, I'm gonna give it a second. And how do I minimize this thing? No, I can't. All right, I'm about to do it. All right. I gotta share again.
Guys, any question?
Oh, I'm disabled again. Sebastian, I'm disabled somehow. Oh, there we go. All right.
Could you try now?
Yeah, it's good. Thanks.
Share. Okay. You guys see that little cone in the middle of the film? You see that?
Yeah, we can see you, coach.
Okay. So these drills, this is the old Chargers, and this is really a good DB coach. I really like him. I had mine, but mine got wiped off of my hard drive. So these are just warm-up drills, okay? And these are warm-up drills you can do every single day, from corners, safeties, all defensive backs have to have a couple things in common, right? They got to have good hips and good feet. All right, you really want them to have good hips and good feet. And each one of these drills is going to help you with that. This is just a line drill, backpedaling, turning one way or the other, and you're trying to see that. And what I would always do, I'm doing like they would do. I'm always giving my defensive backs the ball at the end of each drill, just to get them used to touching a football. All right, so it's not going to be foreign to them when the ball does come their way, and it's like, what the heck is a football? So just give them the ball every single day that you can, where they get comfortable catching that thing, and it's not a surprise on game day. All right, and this drill right here is just backpedal, opening up. You want them to backpedal, and you want that right foot, because they're going to the right side. You want that right foot coming all the way back around and hitting that right line, hitting that line that you're on. All right. You don't want them short. You don't want them too wide. All right. Now they're going to the left side. All right. That's all they're doing. Just a warm-up drill. Right. Some guys are better than others, but this is kind of a drill that you guys could do with your guys just to get them warmed up every single day. All right. And this is so this is kind of 3 swivels, right? So they backpedal, they turn to the right, they turn to the left, they turn back to the right. What is it teaching? It's teaching them to open their hips, right? So I just said hip turns and good feet, hips and good feet for defensive backs. All right, hips and good feet. Hips and good feet is going to help them with their change of direction, because that's critical more than top end speed with defensive backs. Okay. So these same drills. Now this is 3. Turn, turn, turn. Just getting their hips open, getting their hips back open, getting their hips back open. All right. And then give them the ball at the end. Always give them the ball at the end. Okay, weave drill. All right. And the weave drill is just as we all know, receivers will stem you, right? Receivers will stem you. You want to be able to backpedal with your shoulders square to the line of scrimmage or parallel to the line of scrimmage. If you watch all the defensive backs, their shoulders are going to be facing their coach. It's not going to be tilted one way or the other. All right. And you just got to be able to move your feet and stay. If you're inside leverage, keep your inside leverage. If you're outside leverage, keep your outside leverage. All right. That's all it's for. And then you get the ball at the end of that drill. All right. That's all it is. It's a warm-up drill, getting everybody ready, getting the feet good. All right. And this coach right here, he's now with the Las Vegas Raiders, Ron Milas. I think he's one of the better defensive back coaches in the league. All right, so this drill right here is what we call a 45-degree drill. I did this drill every single day from my first year in the league to my last year in the league. All right, it just teaches you to open up your hips and get back to a 45, open up your hips, get back to the other 45, open up your hips, get back to the other 45. All right, now you guys can take, since you guys can, you can jam and touch receivers down the field. What you can do to your drill that's different than this is that you can make them punch with the opposite hand, right? So they're going to the right, make them punch with their left. Like just go here. And then when they come back to their right and they get ready to pivot back around and he comes back around, now you punch with your right because you can touch them all the way down the field, right? So if you have drills like this, add a couple of things that you can probably do that still within the realms of your rules, okay? But this drill is, I think, is the best drill that defensive backs can do because they're running. And what you want to see is that you don't want to see them double step, okay? You see how those guys are coming in and out of it? And they're not double stepping. They're not going to move, to really get back to the other side. That's what you want. You don't want them to double. If they double step, that means their legs are weak. And their legs got to get stronger to take their body weight and the pressure of them running so they can get back to closing the distance of the receiver, okay? I mean, that's my favorite drill. We did that drill every single day. All right. That's a 45-degree drill. All right. And then here's just a short W drill, which everybody does, right? The key of which I want you guys to watch is that how they plant and drive. Remember, I told you they plant with the opposite, with that backside leg. That's going to be their right leg because they're going to the left. And then that left leg should start pointing toward their target. Who's their target? The receiver. All right. So just pay attention to their feet. It's not double stepping. They're not bringing their other foot underneath them. Some guys do. But those guys that are probably doing that are probably safeties. See, watch in front of, I like that. Watch in front of the, yep, that left leg is going toward his target. All right, and you can do your W drill. You can make it 3 yards like that, or you can make it 5 yards, right? You can have a 3-yard W or a 5-yard W. 3-yard W is a little quicker. 5-yard W takes a little bit longer, right? Probably a little bit more true to a true back pedal, okay? But remember, this is all for warm-up. All right, they just bring it back the other way, get another feet. And just pay attention to their feet, right? Getting in and out of the breaks, in and out of the breaks. That's what's critical. It's not being fast. It's not being the fastest person on the field. I mean, that helps you, but I mean, Richard Sherman ran a 4.62 at the combine, a 4.65. And he's one of the better corners to play in the league for the last, 13 years. All right. Now, this is transition. So this is different than the warm-up you do every single day. All right. All those drills, if you have time, you do all those drills every day. You can add other drills into them. All right. These are transition drills, which these are some of the better drills that you can do to help open up your hips to your defensive backs. All right. And it goes hand in hand of what they'll see on game day. All right. So the first one is going to be a line drill, open. So you line, then you go back and open, you open back up to the middle of the field. He's going to plant with his right foot, and then he's going to come back at a 45 like the guy ran a deep comeback, right? Like the guy ran a deep comeback. So he has to get here, which is the hardest thing the defensive back has to do. This drill right here will be the hardest thing that they got to do inside of a game, because they're running full speed. Then the receiver breaks on that out. Now he has to take all his weight, dip it, drop it, and get out of the break to try to close that gap, right? This is a really good drill for him. All right. And remember, defensive backs, when they break, the first thing they should do is look back for the receiver. Like, I don't like to see defensive backs always looking at the quarterback, who is one of the defensive back coaches. Their eyes should go here first to the receiver, because the receiver's over here. Remember that, right? So every time you do a drill, you're doing a drill because you're covering the receiver who's running a route, right? So his head should go here, back to the ball, here, back to the ball, here, back to the ball, to make it more game-like. Because if he's always looking at him, it's a habit, right? And we have good habits and we have bad habits in life, right? That's what we all have them. So you want your players to get good habits on the football field so they don't even think about it. It becomes unconscious to them playing. They just do it. It becomes a part of them, right? And when a player can play when he's not thinking and it becomes unconscious to him, that's when you find your best players, okay? So this is a good drill for the sense that this is the hardest thing for a defensive back to do. Open up and then break back out of it. Because remember, he's going to be going full speed. And that receiver knows where he's going. The defensive back has to stop. And he's like, oh, what the heck? And he puts his foot in the ground and he's coming back. All right. So just make sure you always, like what I would do to my DBs, I would have a coach over here to where the receiver would be. And I would have him put up fingers. Like 3, 4, 5. And then he would have to tell me how many fingers and get his head back to the ball. Well, now you know he's looking at the receiver. Okay. So, try to make it challenging for the players to do the right thing. So that's good. All right, just a transition drill. All right. The next one I probably like the best right here. All right. So it's like press, right? So they pressing, shuffling. They're covering their receiver coming up the line, acting like he's going to run a go route. And then he breaks off and then comes back inside. All right. But watch, the DB has to come back though and flips his hips all the way back around to get back open to catch the football. It's just a really good drill for the defensive back to learn to open up his hips. More than likely, he might speed turn it, which we'll see in a little bit in one of their drills that they do. But this is a good drill just to get them to open up their hips, right? Because most defensive backs are tight. All right. And then what you do, the coach is telling them, he's set, and then he breaks them. Break, and then they have to break. All right. So the coach tells them to go, and then he tells them to break. All right. So they don't know where they're going to break at. It's all up to the coach. That makes sense? So here's this is one of the things that they do right here. So that's exactly what they just showed you, right? Now he was playing it from off, but it's the same thing. You open up, and then he got to flip his hips back open to cover the receiver from off coverage, okay? So watch him. He's backpedaling. He's going to open. This receiver's going to come back and dip back inside. And he's got to flip back inside, which is the transition drill. There you go right there, right? So what we always say is whatever skill you need, you got to have a drill for that skill. Does that make sense to you, coaches? All right. So we know defensive backs have to have good hips, right? They have to have good hips. They have to have good feet. So you got to have whatever skill set you want the kids to have. You can't just tell them to have a skill. You got to give them some drills to kind of emphasize that skill that they want to come out on game day. Okay, guys? Now this one, all right, that's the same speed turn, right? Now it's a speed turn. Now, it's a quick little back pedal. Then he's going to break at a 45. So let's say like he ran a slant and then a back out, or what we call a return, all right? Or really, we call it a pivot. Anytime you pivot away from the ball, you return back into the ball, okay? So if he's going like a little slant and then he runs a pivot and comes back out, sometimes your bodies might be all the way back around where you just have to speed turn, all right? So you do both for the players, so they just get used to it. Does that make sense? And on this one again, you tell them when to go. Break,
Yeah.
and then they get the ball. All right. Now remember, I said the patient step, right? So I talked about the patient step. Now they called theirs a 6-inch rhythm step. It's the same thing. I just called it the patient step because that's what I'm trying to get my players to do, be patient. So every time they hear me say patient step, they're hearing me say patient. All right. So it's the exact same thing. All right. And you can just line them all up like this. And that's all you got to do. And that's all it is. It's just a 6-inch little step. Remember, they're inside shade already, right? They're inside shade already, and they're doing the 6-inch patient step with the outside speed foot. So watch it. He's right there. So what it did is it makes him stay there, right? So watch his foot. So watch his left foot, right? It's going to take that little step, and it's going to, as he starts moving, it's going to allow him to just stay there. Okay. You see that? That's what the patient step is for. Now, you really never want his weight on the back of his feet, on the back of his heels. You don't want his weights there. And what I always tell corners is your hands and feet, they work together, right? So I want you to shoot your hands and work your feet at the same time, because you're trying to disrupt their timing. But he recovers, he's good. That's a great position, right? That's a great position. All right, corner press technique, right? Press technique. Take a charge. This is another drill that you can use for your DBs. All right, you have your receiver, or you have your DB, just kind of going back and forth like a receiver, kind of dancing. The defensive back has to shuffle back and forth. He has to keep his hands in front of him, not using anything else but his feet. And when he releases, when the defensive coach tells him to release, the DB releases, then the defensive back has to shuffle his feet fast enough to get back in front of him. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it just really teaches them to move their feet back and work really hard early in the down. And what I tell defensive backs and coaches all the time is the harder they work early in the down, the easier the down is going to be for the player. All right. I mean, it's another good drill. Just take a charge drill, right? That's all he's doing. That's all he's doing. Taking that charge. All right. These are some really good drills from one of the better coaches in the league. Okay, now here's an offhand jam. And that's what I'm saying. I say opposite release. So that's it right there. So remember that 45-degree drill that we just showed a little bit ago? You can do that exact same thing, but put a defensive back in front of him. And now he gets to jam him back and forth like this. Remember, that's what I said? He can shoot that hand because you guys can touch your receivers all the way down the field until the ball's thrown, right? So just get them used to it. And this is the drill right here. All right, that's all it is. Getting them back and forth, getting used to shooting the opposite hand. They're staying on the upfield shoulder. All right, so they're not giving up any seams, no posts, no goes. I mean, it's really a good drill. Punching with the opposite hand of the release. And if you do that, you're going to stay closer to the upfield shoulder. So watch it right here. So, I mean, that's a good punch. He tried to release outside, tried to stick him outside. It's a really good job by the defensive back. Okay, now let's go back to the whole thing. Let me see if I can bring him back here. So remember, the first thing is what? The 6-inch step, right? First thing was the 6-inch step. So I'm gonna kind of let it go back through, see if it gets back over there. Okay, so remember the first thing we talked about was the 6-inch step, right? So watch, he's going to do the 6-inch step. He's going to punch with the opposite hand. He's going to be able to open back up like he did in the other drill when the 45-degree drill we just saw, right? Where they was going back and forth. He's going to do the same thing there. So all the drills that they did shows up in games and in practice when they go against the offense. Okay, watch his right foot, 6-inch, yes, really good. And now once you get him in out there, you don't want him to get back inside of you that easy. But that's a good job. So just watch his feet. See the 6-inch step? He stayed square as long as he could. I mean, they threw a flag right there in practice, but that's what you want to see. So that's great feet, great hands by the defensive back right there. I mean, he caught the ball, but most quarterbacks in this situation, when a guy's covered like that on his break, most quarterbacks not throwing that ball, right? Not in the game. He's going to see that and go, if I throw that ball, I'm going to get picked. So all the drills that you just saw, all the stuff that I talked about is right here, right? It all works. I mean, he took a little bit longer to come back inside, but that's the idea behind it. All right. And for you coaches, you can have ladder drills. You know what I'm saying? You can do ladder drills. You can do 4-cone drills. If I don't know if you guys know what that is, but if you can do 4-cone drills, anything that you can think of to help him move his feet and make him better through his through his change of direction, that's what you want. Be it a corner or safety. Now, a safety is a couple different things. You know, we showed a lot of corner drills here. All right. The safety, you put him in a curl flat situation, and then you can make him flip and sink his hip. All right. If that makes sense to you guys.
Yes.
Okay, so you flip and sink his hips, and then you're the quarterback. And if you bring him back down to the flat, that's that quarterback is going to throw the ball to the outlet. If you lift up your shoulder, now you're going to throw a 7-cut. So now he has to go make the ball. You got to go make the play on the 7-cut, right? So you can do that same thing for your safeties, right? Another good drill I like for the safeties is that you take a receiver on this side, a receiver on this side. This receiver's running a dig. This receiver's running a post. And he has to read the quarterback's shoulders. It's tough to do, right? It's really tough to do because you want him to stay deep as the deepest, but you want him to make plays in the middle of the field when the ball's thrown past 15-yard line or 15 yards down the field, right? But he has to stay deep as the deepest. That's the first thing, right? So do something like that where, again, he has to read if he's going to throw the ball to the dig or if he's going to throw the ball to the post. And if he gets caught up if he gets caught up in the dig, then he has to get going for the post. All right. So challenge him, the safeties, on their depths and reading the quarterback's shoulders. All right. And then the last thing I would say for safeties, all right, coaches, most quarterbacks are taught, all right, most quarterbacks are taught to play eye games with the safeties because they're trying to move safeties around, right? So they're gonna backpedal, they're gonna look one way, and then they're gonna hinge up and then look. This is what I tell all defensive backs. I don't care what age level. When a quarterback is backing up and looking in one direction before he hinges, does everybody know what a hinge is from a quarterback? When he puts his back foot in the ground and steps forward to make the throw, okay? So while he's backing up and he's looking one way, he ain't throwing there. He's trying to move that safety, right? If he wants to throw back over here, he's trying to move that safety. So when he hinges and now he looks, that's where he's throwing the ball to. Okay? So start watching tape with him, and you start watching quarterbacks, and you're going to see quarterbacks, even in shotgun, right? They're going to do it in shotgun too. Because most colleges and high school they play in shotgun, right? So they'll get it. You'll see them. You're going to start seeing them where they're going to be looking one way. When they hinge and step up, they're going to be looking to where they want to throw the ball because nobody's that good. Nobody can make all those no-look passes. I mean, I know Patrick Mahomes did it a couple times, but he can't make a living doing that, right? Because if you throw too many no-looks, it's going to start getting picked off. So he's going to be looking to where he throws. And in high school and college ball, most quarterbacks are looking in one direction, and they're only going to look in that direction. And they're going to throw the football over there. All right? So just make it what we used to say all the time, see ball, get ball. Football's a simple game, not easy to play at a high level on a consistent basis, but it's a real simple game, right? Leverage. There's one football with 22 players on the field, all trying to get one ball, right? And we're all trying to confuse on the defensive side of it, especially the linebackers in the secondary. We're all trying to confuse the quarterback to what he's seen until after he touches the football. Does that make sense? If you show him cover 2 and it's always cover 2, well, heck, he knows it's cover 2. I mean, a grade school kid can do that. Sometimes have your safety roll down and roll them back. Have some fun with your guys. Have fun. Football's a fun sport if you let it be fun for the players and let the players be involved in how they want to play. Don't be a coach who tells his players it's going to be my way or the highway, right? Just, if you would have told me that, I'd have walked out, which I did. When I was in high school, I walked out. When I was with the Pittsburgh Steelers and Tony Dungy left and John Fox came in, and John just said that, he told me, it's either going to be my way or the highway. And I'm like, oh, really? Okay. Click, click. I took my helmet off and I walked straight to the locker room. I got in my car and I drove back to Indiana from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. All right. Now, it wasn't the great thing. It wasn't the smartest thing to do as a young athlete. But when I did it, I was doing it because I wanted to be a part of how we were going to play. Right. And that's all players want. They want a voice. And these kids today, they need a voice because they're all on social media. Yes. They all got this little freaking thing. They're all on TikTok. They're all on Instagram, and they get to hit like and dislike on almost everything, right? So even though it really doesn't matter to them, it's their voice. So what I'm telling you is to make their voices heard by speaking to them and talking to them and making them take ownership of being a part of the team. And I bet if you do it, you're going to find better players who understand football better now because they are a part of it, right? So when you hear, you forget. When you hear and see, you learn more. When you teach, that's when you learn, right? When you teach, that's when you learn. So make them a part of being a teacher. Make them say it back to you and ask them, what do you think? How would you do it? What would you call that? My guys, I let my guys call any type of combo coverages they wanted. They called it whatever they wanted to. One of our defenses, one of our combo covers was called monkey grease. I was like, what the heck? Monkey grease? What are you calling that for? And he was like, they just came up with it. I'm like, okay, let's do it then. So just make them a part of it. All right. So, I mean, that's my spiel on defensive backs and football 101. And just let me keep encourage you to going back and what I was talking about with the rugby tackle, because I didn't have it in here because all my video got wiped out. But the rugby tackle is the future. I think it's the future of American football here in the US and abroad. It's the smartest way to move forward with all the concussions and all that. And if you're just a rugby fan and you watch them, I mean, they hit people really, really hard with no equipment. Not all the equipment that you have in football, right? And they don't get hurt like this. So get the head out of the game. The best video I would tell you is Seattle Seahawks. If you just put that Seattle Seahawks rugby tackle in there, a bunch of stuff's going to come up. It's a great video. I just encourage all coaches to be moving in that direction. I know Hope Through Football, everything that we teach, that's what we teach. I know USA Football has taught that. I know there's quite a few NFL teams that are teaching it now. And so it's going to be, since USA Football, which is kind of like the grassroots football in America, US football, so like it's, it's for the 9, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds who, before they go to high school, 14-year-olds before they go to high school, they're going to be learning that now. So as they learn that, that's going to be moving through. So the sooner you can get on board with it, it's kind of funky. I know it's not what we've known. It's kind of out of your comfort zone. But if your cup is always full, You can't learn anything else. So I'm just saying, as a coach, be pliable, be adaptable, be a great listener to your players. Players, respect your coaches. Tell them you want to have a voice, but if you're going to tell them you want to have a voice, then you need to be a student of the game and to be a pro of the game, right? You can't just say you want a voice and don't have no opinion. All right, so if you want a voice, have an opinion, have an educated opinion about what you're doing on the football field, okay? So that's my spiel. Does anybody have any questions about anything that they saw today?
Est-ce que quelqu'un a une question particulière à propos de tout ce qu'on a vu ce soir? Ou alors sinon, est-ce que le président de la fédération veut reprendre la parole?
I just want to thank you, Coach, for this effort and all the knowledge you shared with us today. I'm part of the federation also, so I really would like to thank you and to thank Sebastian also for this collaboration, and hopefully we can get you here in Morocco, and why not collaborate with you in a long term and benefit from your experience and your knowledge in this field. Thank you, Coach, a lot. For me, I don't have any questions. I'm already set up. I'm already good. Thank you, Coach.
I really appreciate it. What I'm going to do for all the coaches, Sebastian, I'm going to send you the 2 links so you can share with them, and the link for the Way to Play initiative. And what it does, it gives all you coaches and administrators, it gives you an opportunity to ask for money from the National Football League. So there's a link in there for international football to ask for money from the NFL to help their programs. All right. Secondly, I'm going to give it for you players, or for the coaches can show their players. There's a link that they have that really goes through every step of every position and talks about the right way to play. So that'll be available. I can send that to you, Sebastian, and then you can give that to whoever you need to over there.
Yeah, send me the link, and I'm gonna share that with the president, and you're gonna follow that to the coaches and players who attended the meeting tonight. Rod, I really thank you, because it was amazing. Even me as an O-line, I understood everything, and that was great. Honestly, it was a very clear, very great, and I appreciate the video you shared, because I know that's something very personal to you. And seeing those videos, it's very helpful. And as you said, when you see what you explain, we understand really better. So I really thank you so much. Les coachs, personne n'a de questions? C'est bon, il est déjà très tard pour tout le monde?
Non, c'est pas
de ma part également, c'est
monsieur. Mais I want to thank you, Coach Woodson. Thank you so much for all the information you gave us today. And maybe again, I will make another question about tackling. Just because as defensive player, I was playing linebacker once upon a time. I was playing strong safety. I was playing cornerback. So the question about the tackling. So when we are tackling someone, like you told me before, like you shouldn't put your head first. Okay, this is clear. This is what we do for now. But can we, when we are tackling, put our head like we are watching the ball and our face is watching the ball? So we are tackling. Not with our head, of course, but using like I don't know how to explain it, because
Like
yeah. So the face mask should be on the ball, next to the ball. Yes.
No. So let's say this, Coach. Let's say the ball carrier is coming right at me. The old way to tackle. The old way I was taught to tackle when I was 9 years old was to have my chin up, face mask on the ball, wrapping picking them up and kind of,
And
that was
falling
my
with them.
path,
Yep.
right? Today's football, you can't do that. Because any part, especially
Ça va,
in
kom. Steek prêt.
the rules here in America have kind of changed, because if in high school, college, and the pros, if they think that you are using your helmet as a weapon, you're going to get flagged and you could be suspended. So what I would tell you to do, as they're coming right at you, if the ball carrier is coming right at you, take angles, and you should never, as a defender, you should never be head up on a ball carrier. You should always have one side or the other. So you're going to start at inside position or outside position, right? So if I'm a corner, I'm going to be an outside position tackler to the ball carrier. If I'm a linebacker, I might be a little bit to my left side. It's going to be, ball carrier is going to be to the left of me, and I'm going to keep him to the left of me. If that makes sense to you. You never really want him to get back head up. So, but if he's to the left of me, then when I shoulder tackle him, I'm going to shoulder my left side. And my head is going to be more away from the ball and not even on his body, if that makes sense. Because when you do that, there is no more head-to-head contact. And because if you do bring your head back over and just say this, I tackled him like this, and this is the ball carrier, and I hit him right here, right between the numbers. And just say, for some reason, he dipped his head a little bit because he's seen you coming, because that's what ball carriers do, right? They're going to take the blunt, they're going to go, oh. And now you hit him with his head on his head. Well, now you can be penalized for that, right? So the smartest thing to do is to take your head away from him. And if you're the linebacker and he's on the left side of you, keep him on the left side of you, right? And you're attacking him with the left side shoulder, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, coach. Just because, for example, to do this, for example, when you have the angle tackling drill, so it's quite harder to find the great moment and the great position to make the good drill, to make the good tackle.
That's why you need to go look at the
Seahawks. Okay, today
because
we our job.
It's called run and gather. Okay, so the old school way is that, okay, we got the ball carrier here, right? And we had, remember how everybody did the angle tackle this way, right? So we used to come this way, and then we put our head across the bow, we both duck our heads, and we both can hit. Well, the rugby way is you run, you gather, you kind of almost go parallel to the sideline. The ball carrier is still going this way, and now you're tackling with your right hip, if that makes sense. You're running together this way. Okay. So it's a little different, but it's called run and gather. So if you look at Seattle Seahawks, you'll kind of get a feel for what I'm talking about. There's a lot of great drills to teach you how to keep your head out of the game.
Everything is clear, coach, now. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, coach. It was an honor to host you in our clinic. And as my colleague said, we'll be glad to host you here in Morocco for a clinic, or maybe collaborate for in the future.
That is awesome. I met somebody from Morocco back in 1987. She won the gold medal in the 400 hurdles in '88. Does anybody know who that is?
I guess Said Awit, I know.
You guys got to do some research.
We have like a lot of those kind of athletes here in Morocco. So
she went to Iowa State, but she's from Morocco.
Okay.
And she won the gold medal in the '88 Olympics in the 400 hurdles for the women.
For the women.
Nawal Mutawakil,
I guess.
Okay, I'm just telling you, just to look her up.
All right.
You guys got some homework.
Yes.
Rod, thanks so much for that. We're going to keep contact with Morocco because when the COVID and pandemic going to be over in North Africa and Europe, and we're going to fly, we're going to try to have a clinic and a camp in this country because they're fed of football. So thanks so much for your time. That was great.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Merci.
And
Merci en tout cas, Sébastien.
Pas de quoi, grand plaisir. I'm waiting for the link and to share with the Morocco coaches. Guys, thanks so much, everybody. Rod, thanks so much. Et à bientôt pour de nouveaux meetings. Je vais essayer pour moi de me caler pour faire un meeting online avec mon emploi du temps. Et on se tient au courant de tout ça. Merci beaucoup, Rod.
Merci
Thanks
beaucoup.
so much.
Thank you.
Bonne soirée. Thank you, coach.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.